Today is the first day for which many schools will ask their players to return to campus in some way, shape, or form. By players, I mean football players, to get started for something like football season. August 29th is the start date. Now, one of those is the Ohio State University. And I think that that is significant for a number of reasons, not the least of which is football is as important there as it is anywhere. The football team at the Ohio State University was begun in 1890. I find it significant that the first black player at the Ohio State University came the year after the team was formed in 1891, and that man lettered. That's Fred Patterson. For perspective, the first black player at the University of Oklahoma was, of course, Prentice Gauck, lettered in 1956, pride of Douglas High School in Oklahoma City. And then in 1970, Texas finally decided it was time to start playing black players. Julius Whittier became its first letter winner in 1970, along with Texas A&M, which was one of the last schools to integrate its college football program. But again, I find this significant. I find it significant because it wasn't that long ago that we were talking about black college football as being some of the best football in America, regardless of school. And that was because Jake Gaithers took his talents, as they say, to FAMU. That would be Florida A&M, right? And I also thought it was interesting that when he played ball, he thought he was pretty good at Kentucky State. Then he takes a job coaching high school football at Henderson Institute, finds out what he really knows is trench warfare because he's an end and a tackle. So he wants to go to coaches' clinics to figure out what he doesn't know. So one of the first folks that he reached out to was the head coach at Duke, going, hey man, look, let me in there. I will do whatever I have to do to be able to sit through this coach's clinic with then head coach Wallace Wade. He even said I would be a janitor. Nobody would know I was attending the clinic. Just teach me some football. Wallace Wade never ever got back to him. So what did he do? He went to the Ohio State University where they said, not only can you come and check us out, but, you know, it's not new for us to have black folks on campus, let alone learning football at a time when physical education was in need, because following World War I, the United States of America was embarrassed by how unfit many of the folks that they were asking to join in the war effort were. They got 4F'd because they just weren't up to snuff. Now, a lot of that has to do with what nutritional habits were and the hours in which people worked. And we're talking about a big dude in 1920 being about 200 pounds. Like, that's a lineman, right? Many high school football teams won't even let you play line if you're 200 pounds. You got to be a little bit bigger than that. So he goes there and he meets another black man whose name is William Bell. Big Bill Bell. And he graduated from the Ohio State University where he was an All-American. Black papers covered Bell in such a way that they even wanted to know what his summer job was. And it's not a small thing that you had an All-American defensive end at Ohio State before World War II. The only time he did not play is when the Ohio State Buckeyes decided that they were not going to get any truck with Vanderbilt because they didn't want to see a black man on the field play against them. Those two men, along with one other man from the Ohio State and one man from Michigan, formed the first physical education department at FAMU. And at FAMU, they also were part of J.R.E. Lee's invention of what is called the Orange Blossom Classic. The Orange Blossom Classic was one of the first in the HBCU classics, and it was an event to raise money. It was a president who said, football can give us some standing. Football can bring us some money. Football can give our people in Tallahassee something to be proud of. Is it no wonder now that Florida is the richest place for talent in all of America? And not only did they win 2 black college national championships before World War II at FAMU, but they were the first to actually put on clinics for high school football coaches in the area, specifically for black high schools, because we're dealing with segregation here, and asked them to come through to teach them more about the game. And then we saw the game get to be so much better in Florida. It's no wonder to me that the Ohio State University has more NFL draft selections than any other university in the country. It's I don't find it that untoward to talk about this, but I also find it interesting that many people would want to dunk on what Ohio State chose to do and how Ohio State chooses to put football first. But even in putting football first, they decided, hey, look, who do we need to play? Who do we need to win? This is important to us. This is our identity. Not unlike it's supposed to be here, University of Oklahoma. To be ahead of this, to be one of the first, is hard. It's difficult. It's worth it. Because years and years down the road, we'll be talking about this time. We'll be talking about what happened 100 years ago. Being first is hard, but staying power is important. The thing that actually took FAMU, like Grambling, like Southern, like Texas Southern, like Kentucky State, like Hampton, like Norfolk State, like Virginia State, and on it goes, from being the pinnacles of college football, was actually desegregation. Right? We had what are called predominantly white institutions at the time decide to go and recruit Earl Campbell, to go and recruit Adrian Peterson, to go and recruit Billy Sims, to go and recruit Thomas Lott. Make sure that these dudes always had an opportunity to come here and play, because it's about winning football games at the end of the day. It's an interesting time, because now we're getting loud about protest. Now we're getting loud about how much we miss sport. Now we're getting loud about our differences, but more than that, our similarities. Football, like our United States military, has been the proving ground for men that look like me for so long. It was a way for us to say we are uniquely American. Watch us. Jesse Owens got that opportunity at Ohio State. Goes to the Olympics in Berlin and makes us all proud. These things matter. Yes, they happen to take place in sport. Sometimes it's bigger than sport. Certainly bigger than you and me. So excited about football, man. Through all of this, through all the troubles, through what we are dealing with today in the middle of a crisis, I'm so excited about football.